I recently made a video ranking everything in Star Wars, and I gave my thoughts to justify why I put certain things where, and well, the Phantom Menace was the lowest ranking movie, so I thought today I'd share my thoughts on what I'd do to the Phantom Menace to potentially make it a better movie. And I'm going to be doing this to everything in Star Wars, mainly the movies. I might do the series, we'll wait and see, but let's go. Just before we get into this, I want to remind you to please subscribe. I have a very, very big video coming out for when I hit 5,000 subscribers, so if you want that to come sooner, then click the subscribe button if you haven't already. With that being said though, let's get straight into the first thing I'd change about the Phantom Menace. The age of Anakin Skywalker. I would make him maybe 12 to 14 instead of 9, as it would make everything he does make a bit more sense, especially his attraction to Padme and then hers back to him. He was 9 in the Phantom Menace and she was 14, so it kind of seemed a bit weird. It would also make more sense as to why he was able to win the pod race, because he would have been pod racing for longer and he was just an older person. Same goes for how he made C-3PO and how he was just so good at fixing things. It seems, although he is the chosen one and very powerful in the Force, he is untrained, so it does seem kind of unrealistic that he could do all these things so well by 9. It would also strengthen his attachment to his mother, Shmi Skywalker, which comes into play in Attack of the Clones, as we know. So that would be the first thing I would change. Secondly, I would include a side story from Maul's perspective. I feel like this is something the original trilogy and the sequels do quite well. They show the bad guys a decent amount, but the Phantom Menace is probably 95% just the good guys' perspective, the 5% being Newt Gunray, where he talks to Palpatine, and Palpatine talking to Maul, and that's about it. So I would show a little bit more of Maul talking with Palpatine, and more of his journey tracking Qui Gon on Tatooine, like before their first fight happened, killing a few people on the way, maybe like showing off his strength to get some information and stuff. And I would also like to see some details about his origins on Dathomir. Maybe he gets a vision or something, or a flashback whilst talking to Palpatine, or just something like that to give more context to the villain of the movie. Next up would just be a little less Jar Binks, a little less Naboo, and the Gungans in general. Maybe cut out a few scenes or just shorten them. If I had to be specific, it would probably be the underwater scene after speaking to Boss Nass. Like, there's always a bigger fish scene that I feel like that was quite unnecessary, and one of the more annoying scenes from Jar Jar. Like, I don't hate him at all, but that was one of the times that I wasn't his biggest fan. So yes, I would cut down a lot of the times that we see the Gungans, to be honest. Probably the next most important after the Maul story would be Darth Plagueis. He is alive throughout the movie, apparently, so I would want to see him and Palpatine talk and just see what he's actually up to at this point. We eventually know, obviously, Palpatine kills him in his sleep, so I would also really want to see that. And apparently he killed him around the same time that Maul died to Qui Gon, or at least around the same time that he found out about Maul dying, so I would want to see how Palpatine reacts to killing Plagueis and Maul just dying, so he's now by himself, and maybe he already has his replacement lined up, being Dooku. As well as all of these, I would like to add this very, very small detail. When Qui Gon is talking about the Midichlorians, and Anakin specifically, the only other Jedi whose midichlorian count they mention is Yoda's, and they just say how Anakin's is above it, being above 20,000. So I think it would be cool if we actually saw some other Jedi's midichlorian counts, maybe there was a comparison scale where it says Yoda 19,000, Qui Gon Jinn 15,000, Mace Windu 17,000, or something along those lines. I just want to know in canon what other Jedi's midichlorian counts are. Maybe it's something completely different, and it's just like Obi-Wan saying, that kid has a count 10,000 more than mine, and he's in shock due to how high Anakin's is. But yeah, that's something I would really want to see. Now, this one isn't just the Phantom Menace, this would be for the prequels as a whole, so if I do other movies, I will include this in there, but it's just the other Jedi on the Jedi Council contributing to the conversation. it just seems like Yoda and Windu make up 95% of the talking and the decision making in the Phantom Menace and the rest of the prequels. Obviously, Adi Mundi speaks a little bit saying your thoughts dwell on your mother, but not really anything else. I think all the Jedi should be like perceived equally on the council, and yeah, I think when they make the decision to train Anakin, they do like a vote or something, and I want Plo Koon and Yaddle to agree that Anakin should be trained, and then the rest disagree. So it shows that some of them wanted Anakin to be trained, but the vast majority didn't, and ultimately he did end up getting trained because it was Qui Gon's dying wish, and Obi-Wan disobeyed the council, or like the council's wishes basically. And also, I would want to see a small mention of Count Dooku, probably by Qui Gon. I don't think that would go amiss, as we obviously know Qui Gon is the one that got trained by Count Dooku. Dooku had left the Order at this point, so yeah. Obviously, Dooku's character didn't actually exist at this point, because the plan was actually to make Darth Jar Jar. That was a real thing. So hindsight is very helpful here, but this video is all about hindsight. It's what I would do now that the Phantom Menace has already been released, and I would have a little mention of Count Dooku by Qui-Gon. Now, lastly, I know it's not very Star Wars-like to have an end credit scene, but I don't think it could like be a big problem to have one. I think there should be an end credit scene of showing Maul surviving, just so it's not so hard to explain to the more casual fans. You know, you've probably tried to explain it if you've watched the Clone Wars, that Maul survived being chopped in half because he was angry. Like, it's quite hard to explain. So if we saw it visually, Maul getting really, really angry on Lothar Minor, which is obviously where he was, and maybe like each angry grunt he makes, his like midsection of his body that was split in half, like stitches itself together like a tiny bit, not very noticeable, but just a little bit. I think that would be great. But with that being said, that is the end of this video. That is what I would change about the Phantom Menace. So once again, please do subscribe. I have a huge video coming out for when I hit 5k. Thank you for 4.4k. We are 600 subs away. Yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. Comment what you thought of what I'd change. Comment what you would change. And yeah, thanks for watching, and in a bit.